Right.
Yes. I was, when you asked him to the total vote cast was 140. That's what I think.
Say that again.
I say,
Yes.
From that, from the vote,
Yes.
was 1-4.
1-4. Mary, Jen. Let us project it. It's easier. Let us project it.
Okay.
Yeah. It was projected. It was projected when he was presenting. Anyhow, so while that is going on, I got 2 jobs to do really. I got to merge this with the last Saturday's. Sorry, not last Saturday's. 2 weeks back. Last Saturday's result, and then I need to get it into there. Thank you. You're going to give me some time, but when they, sir, when they come back with the, hello, sir. Now, when they come, they will beam, and they will be able to do that, to take that. Thank you. So, Mary, Jen, I'm sorry. Are you getting that done? Okay, let's hear you. Let's hear you. Let them. I think he's gone for that. Mokhtari has gone for that. No. Mokhtari has gone for the printer. Bring one here. Okay. But I need that to be filled. I need you to help her. I can't let one person. I need you to help her do this.
All right, there you have it. Not quite the announcement of results just yet. I mean, no, not
Hopefully
quite.
that will happen.
Yeah, well, it will happen. Don't worry.
Okay.
It will happen.
Okay.
You see him there reading through all the figures, and I think he's gone back to do a bit more.
No, what he did was, what he read out were the figures from the supplement. You know, the initial time was figures from the last election.
That's right.
He now read the figures from the supplementary
Which
election.
is why I said he would
while
then go
he's waiting for the rec, because he stood up to say the rec is not around. So probably when the rec comes in, they'll go back to giving the reconciling and then give the final.
So just a little
and
bit
because it's a
more.
Supplementary, it's going to be by simple majority.
That's right. Just a little bit more, of a weight.
Yeah.
And hopefully it should come through very soon, isn't it?
Yeah, it should come through real very soon. But I don't know if we could get Akpong to finish off his train of thoughts before we went to Canada.
I was talking about that we've not really started that movement in the positive direction. And I say it with all sense of responsibility, because if as at 2015, I don't want to make a comparison between governments, I don't want to carry out any analysis of goings on between 2 dispensations, but I want to talk about the reasons why we have an election and the need for society to improve. The reasons why we have an election is to have in place a government to take up the responsibility of developing the place and the people, provide infrastructure, give people make the right policies, provide infrastructures, and allow the people to, implement certain things in place. But right now, what we have is far from that, very far from that. So I was saying I would like to see a country where people understand what they need to do. Right now, where we are, we need the National Orientation Agency. Since we found out they have structures in the 774 local governments, we need them to take up an advocacy and let people get the right education that they should get. Let people understand why they go to vote during elections. Let them understand why they should not become thugs for people who are just using them for the sake of it. we need more and more of that kind of awareness.
Well, wait, would that be what one of our guests yesterday described as political education or voter education? Because there are two different things.
No, I think it's it's a lot about political education.
Yeah, remember earlier on in the day, I started the conversation, who will be responsible for this?
Exactly.
We said, was it political parties? Who? Because, you know, you just see us slipping into that same rut again.
Yeah. Well, I think that, first of all, we have a national orientation agency. A national orientation agency should open our eyes. I think that's why it's even called by that name. It should give us an orientation. What path do we go as a people, as a nation?
So you're not feeling the impact
at all. The structures in the 774 local governments, when I heard it, I was just laughing, because at the end of the day, it's, for me, just words. I've not seen an office. I've not seen flyers from them. I've not seen them on a program on TV.
You know who their DG is?
On something. The
DG.
So, okay, what I even know the DG, okay, that's even story for another day. You know, so at the end of the day, what I talked about the slogan that came from the Ministry of Information earlier on when they were talking about Nigeria, good people, great nation. Let's even chant a slogan that puts people in the right frame of mind, that tries to make good of the already very terrible image we have as a people. At least let's start from professing what we like to be like. Then let there be a process in primary schools to teach people the right things, what a value is, what should be, because right now, every nation becomes what it rewards. People get rewarded for thuggery. This electoral violence you are seeing now, there are people who get appointed to positions because of their role in stealing certain ballot boxes. That is what we currently reward as a country.
Allegedly stealing.
Well, allegedly, yes. Let's put the.
No, but we saw pictures of thugs actually pushing it.
Even at that, they'll still go to court and tell you until they are proven guilty.
Exactly. Yeah, and those are other things again that are in place to help put a lot of semantics around what shouldn't be right. There are places in the world where that is wrong. In fact, they even though I don't support jungle justice, but as soon as you do that, jungle justice just follows you naturally. So I think that everything around awareness, education, getting the people to know what they should know is the job of the NOA cut out for them. They should do it.
Okay, now that thing about ownership, I mean, sometimes it's as Ijoma asked, who's going to do this? Is it the NOA? He said the NOA should do it.
The MOI.
Or the MOI? Is that an MOI?
Ministry of Information.
Or Ministry of Information. Or do we have to go back to the family? I mean, do we begin from the family? Where do we begin this political education? Not before we even think about the voter education.
You know, it's interesting. The first time President Buhari came, we had war against indiscipline. He was the one that led that war. Rightly or wrongly, I remember then Nigerians were queuing. So really, this reorientation that we're talking about should start with not General Buhari, but President Buhari. He should start it. When he has started it and you know, one of the things he has going for him is the body language, is his, you know, personality. Is that not so? If he lends his personality to a reorientation of Nigeria, like he did once upon a time, are you getting it? Then this is like a tidal wave. It will start off from there. And then the other agencies, you know, sometimes these agencies take a cue from the leader. I can bet you that there are proposals or plans at the Orientation Agency, Ministry of Information, etc., which they cannot really champion until they get a nod from, you know, the powers that be. So if you ask me, I would say to the president, sir, let's have not war against indiscipline, but something that all Nigerians, irrespective of tribe, religion, political leaning, can buy into. A dream of a new Nigeria, a better Nigeria. And if you ask me, at his age, with the opportunity that he has really nothing. Yeah, it would be nice if we build more roads, wonderful. It would be nice, you know, if we build more houses, wonderful. But if you ask me, the greatest legacy that President Buhari can leave for us is not roads, is not houses. It's a new Nigeria. A Nigeria where there's trust, there's respect, there's, you know, there's integrity. So if you ask me, he should be the one. And that's why I'm waiting to hear the rollout of this, you know, the game plan. If we start off talking about roads and you know, as good as they are, wonderful, but that's not it. The problem we are facing now goes beyond tangibles. We are challenged with the intangibles, the values. Trust is an intangible, all right? Integrity is an intangible, okay? Justice is an intangible. But those things are the things that will dovetail into the tangibles, all right? The roads, etc., etc. So for me, this reorientation should start nowhere else but at the desk of the president.
All right, Nora. Let me bring it back to Cynthia Mbamalo in Abuja, if we can see Cynthia now. And the question I wanted to ask is about watching the vote, because that's what Yaga Africa has done in this particular election. And so, you know, you tell people, stay behind, ensure that your vote is counted, ensure that your vote counts. But then they stay behind, and all the observations they have and everything that they see that they feel they're not happy with, nothing happens. That result is still announced, in spite of the fact that they watched it and they made those observations. So what do you tell people, you know, in a case like that, where even though they watch the vote, they're now watching the announcement, they're unhappy with it, and they can't do anything about it?
Wow, this is a difficult one, because if you, for one, just look at the trend in voter turnout, the decline, you would see that with successive elections, you have lesser number of people coming out, and that shows that more people are losing faith in the process. But I think what is important for Nigerians and for citizens, what we need to understand and appreciate is that, one, democracy is a journey. It's a journey that it develops as we move, as we travel through this journey. We build and we learn and we see how we make things count. But beyond that, I think what we have neglected is the role political parties play in democratic development. And I like the point one of the guests made, that when it comes to reorientation, it should begin from the top. And for me, I would start with the leadership for political parties. Now, what happens when post-elections, most of the parties go silent? Now, even the conversations on electoral reform, you see, is largely driven by civil societies, not even political parties, who would end up crying foul at the end of every election. But after every election, they go back to bed. So you look at the National Assembly. Now, one of the things we should be seeing is that this 9th Assembly, this time around, should have electoral reform as a key issue that they will be pushing forward. But you don't see that happening. So it's one thing to ask voters to go out, protect your vote, count, ensure you vote and wait for it to be counted. But the voters can't challenge the court and challenge the outcome of elections in court. Parties do. Now, beyond parties doing that, only political parties can start the drive for electoral reform based on reports and observations and recommendations of civil society groups and even voters who are the polling units. Now, nothing stops any political party who is aggrieved from this process beyond just the court cases to begin a drive for electoral reform as soon as these elections are concluded. And you take an example with what happens in other climes, even within Africa. For every conversation on national development, you would see a political party taking a stand. But here, what we have is post-elections. Parties literally go quiet and silent. And then you only have either the media or civil society leading that conversation. So citizens cannot give up because we have a role to play to ensure our system works for us. But beyond that, our parties, we need to channel all our frustration and angers to the parties because they are the platform through which leaders emerge. And if they can't engage the system to ensure the system works for us, then why do they exist? Now, what we have is parties who benefit from a flawed system. They go into government. They do not see the need to work and improve that system because they believe they will benefit from that. They only cry foul when they become victims. Now, how do you reprobate and approbate? That is the question we need to ask. And I want to believe that parties that exist do not exist to just contest for power. Unfortunately, that is what we have. And it's sad that even political party members move and change post any point in time. Now, what you would see post-elections now is parties moving to changing political and cross-carpeting to other parties just for political power and gain. What about what is our role as a political party in building our electoral and democratic system? Now, that is absent. But it's for citizens to now channel that anger to parties because, truth be told, we may scream INEC, 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 but if the political parties don't lead the conversation, if they don't ensure that their representatives in the National Assembly take issues of electoral reform seriously, then we'll still be where we are come 2023. The whole conversation on electoral reform, the whole conversation on reorientation and building political leadership that can stand the test of time begins with the role parties play. Now look at all the infractions. Tell me which political party leader has come out to say, I condemn this act. I know the political thugs that did that and they must be called to order, both from the APC and the PDP. How many of these political party leaders, be it the party chairman or party leadership, has come out and categorically said this was wrong or this is wrong and we must get justice for victims of infractions in our process? How many of them? Parties only cry foul when they become victims. So it already shows that when it comes to political leadership on the whole question of reorientation, it's not about citizens, it's beyond having a nice slogan, it's beyond National Orientation Agency, because citizens model characters and attitudes that they see from the political leaders, the political class, who set the tone and set the agenda for elections and national discourse. So we cannot even have change if you focus on civic and political education. Yes, they are good. We need to do that because we need people to be aware and informed and empowered to demand for accountability. But it's beyond that. We need to see parties take the lead in that, because what we have is more citizens losing interest in associating themselves with parties as legitimate platforms to promote their interest.